Hey everyone, sorry lately I haven't been putting out too many videos. I actually have a new full-time job which is sort of sucking all my free time, so that's slowing me down on YouTube videos, but you know, that'll come right and we'll get back into the groove of making YouTube videos in the near future. Meantime, it's a bit of a sad week. I am giving back the 911 this week. Porsche sent out the repurchase agreement. Unfortunately, I can't share with you the number involved there because they have a little thing in the agreement saying do not share this information with anyone, put it on your YouTube channel, otherwise we'll chop off your testicles and feed it to angry llamas in Germany. Who knew the llama was the alpha predator in Germany? Anyway, but you can get a general idea what goes on there. That what they do is they take the original purchase price, they look at the mileage and the condition of the car, and they do a depreciation on the car, and then that's the number. So, you know, I never expected to get all my money back. I've drove the car for 2 years. It's got 24,000 miles on it. It's a fair number. It's all good. You know, I custom built this car to my own taste, so I love this configuration, of course. And I thought in this video we would go and have a quick look at the wear and tear on the car just before I give it back, see whether there's anything that I should have done differently. And also we'll have a quick talk about what I'm thinking about in terms of replacing the Porsche 911 for now. But first, let's pop out to the car and have a look around. As I said, this is a custom built car to me, dark blue on the outside, chalk on the inside with those wheels. You know, it's just my taste. It's not everyone else's taste, but I really love this configuration. And overall it stood up very well. Obviously I put the paint protection film on the outside, so there's no dings or scratches on the exterior of the car. It's pretty much as new. There is a little mark in the hood or bonnet where I had a dent, which I got off I-95, if you remember that incident, but it just got taken out and the mark just remains on the paint protection film. On the interior, everything looks pretty good as well, despite Tui and myself being in there. Maybe it smells a little bit like old man in there. Yeah, really the only wear and tear is a little bit on the leather here. Obviously this white chalk leather does show wear more quickly than black leather would. So just around the bolsters here is just a little bit of darkening, which I think I could probably get out. But the Sportex fabric has held up very well. In fact, I would say the fabric is harder wearing than the leather. In fact, I definitely say that's the case. It's not only harder wearing, it breathes. I really like the Sportex. It's a wonderful fabric, and I would even go as far as to say Porsche should offer cars with even more fabric options than leather. You know, a lot of us could do away with leather and much prefer fabric, not Alcantara, other fabrics, good fabrics. So yeah, I say bring back the fabrics like the good old days, Porsche. Some of us would buy those. Yeah, Sportex has stood up very well, and the rest of the car is in great condition. I really don't see any wear or tear. It looks pretty much new to my eyes. The only marks are here and here, where Porsche damaged the car slightly when they were taking out the interior during trying to fix it. I would make a fuss about that, but they're buying it back anyway, so it can be like that. That's no big deal. Yeah, otherwise, yeah, very happy. Still very happy with the configuration. Lovely little car, very sad to see it go. Which of course does leave me with only my little runabout general purpose car, which is my 2013 Golf S. It's a Mark 6. I've had this car for 5-6 years now, and it's been completely fault free. I just give it regular scheduled maintenance and not a squeak, not a problem. It is just a joy to drive. I think it's kind of a cute car too. And strangely enough, before the problems with the Porsche, I had actually been planning to replace the Golf this year, and I was hoping to replace it with an electric car. So obviously I thought about Tesla. I do love the Tesla products, and I really love how Tesla are bringing back the car manufacturing to the US. Very supportive of Tesla. But that said, I'm not a huge fan of the Model 3. Every other YouTuber's got one, and they're a lovely car to drive and a great purpose, but the inside's a little bland for my taste. So I was looking elsewhere for an electric car, and I saw that Audi were bringing out the e-tron, their first full electric SUV. So I had actually put a deposit on the e-tron last year, long before any of this happened, expecting to keep the 911 and replace the Porsche with an e-tron, an electric car. However, best laid plans, everything goes and changes. I have to get rid of the 911 now and keep the Golf. So I could actually put the e-tron in place of the 911 for the short term, However, we are having trouble getting the e-trons now. The Audi's having trouble with the manufacturing of those cars. They said it would be here early April. Well, that's come and gone. And now Audi aren't actually communicating with us customers. They've completely stopped communicating because obviously something's wrong. And I see some of the rumors on the web have been that they're having trouble with the manufacturing, and it's probably going to be delayed towards the end of the year. So that's that plan out the window. But if it does turn up, I could just put it in place of the 911 short term until I get another one. Otherwise, I have had some other ideas on replacing the 911. Take this opportunity to get a few cars that I've always wanted to get. First one is replacing both my cars with Italian cars. Have a full Italian garage, yep. And have the sports car as the Ferrari, a Ferrari F355, which is my very favorite Ferrari. In fact, I personally think that Ferrari have gone downhill since that car. The newer models I don't find as much fun to drive. They're certainly faster, they're certainly amazing to drive, but the experience isn't as great. Yes, the 355 to me is, that's just magic. So I have been watching out for one of those. The problem I have, of course, is that I want the unicorn model. I don't really like red Ferraris or yellow Ferraris or black Ferraris or white Ferraris, which are the most common colors. I want a blue Ferrari, and they do come up. They do come up from time to time. It's probably about 4 or 5 blue 355 sold each year, so I just got to keep an eye out for those. And of course I want a manual transmission, which isn't so hard in that model. Most of the pre-1997 models are manual, and then after 1997 to 99, probably about a third of them are. So they do come up. What is interesting, however, is how often dealers and websites market a 355 as a manual transmission, and I go, ooh, here it is, it's blue, it's manual transmission. I go and have a look, and I look at the pictures, and I see this. Yep, I don't know why they do that. I don't know how they make that mistake each time. Maybe it's just to attract your attention or something, but yeah, so often they say it's a manual transmission. Obviously it's got the F1 transmission, which I don't want that. So yes, I would like to try out a Ferrari if I could find one. They're priced between sort of 60 to 80,000. I'm not looking for a very low mileage one. I'm looking for one with a few more miles on it. The only downside of owning one of those cars, of course, is the very high maintenance costs. Normally about $10,000 to $12,000 to do a service on one of those things. So you don't want to own it for too long, but it'd be cool. It would be a cool car to own. On the other side of the garage, to replace the Golf then, if it's not an electric car, I would consider getting an Alfa Romeo. I really like the look of them, particularly in the green. So that'd be a pretty cool garage. Another garage I have considered is an all-American garage, which of course I live here in the USA. I would like to support the US car industry, although I don't know that these two cars are supporting them too much. As I said, an electric car on one side, and if I don't want the Model 3, as I said, I would be happy to have the Model S, which is super cool. The only thing that's slowing me down on getting one of those is that, of course, they are finally updating the Model S. Now that sales are starting to slide on that model, they're looking to do a big update. At first they said it was a small update, but rumors are now starting to flow through saying that they're going to do a major update to the Model S, which is pretty cool. So I like to wait for that to happen before I do anything on that. And on the other side of the garage, if I have a Model S, then I wouldn't mind getting a classic American car, not a pony car, but a land yacht. Yes, I've always had a fascination for 70s land yachts. And the two models in particular that I love is the Lincoln Continental, all the way back from the suicide door models right through to the late 70s. You know, Lincoln Continental 1977, 78, 79, awesome. Those huge big block engines. The car is a mile long. They use about 10 gallons of gas a mile. Be pretty cool. I don't know how long it would be cool for. I suspect A, it won't even fit in my garage, and 2, paying $100 for gas every time I go somewhere, the novelty is going to wear off. And 3, never being able to find a parking spot, also the novelty will wear off pretty quickly. But for a week or two, it might be pretty cool. So I'm considering, I'm looking around, there's lots of options there. They're always for sale, so that'll be pretty cool. And finally, and probably less likely, is I've also considered a fully Japanese car garage. And the car that I'd get, the sports car I'd get if I had a Japanese garage would be the NSX. And I'm not talking about the new one, because that's garbage. I'm talking about the old one, which is awesome. I don't know if you remember, I did a drive of a red NSX, my friend Peter's NSX, a couple of years back. And I've driven one since then, and oh man, those things are magic. Just so much fun to drive. Very similar in a lot of ways to the Ferrari. Just the sound of the engine and just the way that the whole car gives you feedback through the pedals, through the steering wheel. It's a true driver's car. And that's reflected in the fact that they just keep going up in price. So the downside of the NSX is that to get a good one, you are paying a lot of money, $100,000, $120,000, even $130,000 for a good condition one. But they are an amazing car and they do hold their value. So I certainly consider that. On the other side of the garage, I don't really know. There's not a lot of new Japanese cars that ring my bell, I guess. So I'd probably consider, once again, an older Japanese car, a 90s or 80s model Japanese car for my daily runabout car, which could be interesting. There's lots of options there. There's lots of cool options. You know, the Japanese cars of the 90s, I think, are the coolest. They really made some interesting sports cars. They really made some like they were just experimenting all over the place back then. These days, they're pretty bland. So those are my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think, if you think some of those ideas are pretty good. You know, eventually I'd like to get another 911 again. And the reason I like the 911 is because it's not just a sports car, but it is also a general purpose car in a lot of ways. You know, it has the back seats, it's pretty roomy, it's got good luggage space. So it's nice to have two general purpose cars. So yeah, that's why I love the 911. And of course, I just love, you know, the way they sound, the way they drive, the way they look. I just wish I didn't break them so often. So yeah, we'll give the 911 a break until the manual transmission comes out, get something interesting in the meantime, move on from there. Other news, this weekend I am flying to New Zealand to see family. I will be there for just over a week. I don't plan to do a meetup or anything, but I'll do a couple of video logs since I'm there. This time I thought I'd talk a little bit about New Zealand food and maybe show you around my parents' properties, things like that. So a couple of little video logs there. So if you've got any questions you want to know about New Zealand, let me know in the comments and I'll try and answer them in those videos. And when I get back, we'll try and get back into more videos. I have a friend who's got a 997 Turbo. I know I haven't done a lot of 997. I might not have done any 997 on this channel. So we've got to rectify that. We'll take a couple of 997s for a bit of a spin. Fill in that gap, and we'll talk about some of the upcoming Porsche models, and we'll do some other cars as well. So yes, good stuff coming up. Thank you for bearing with me. Yep, sad to see the 911 go. It was a great car, but move along, onwards and upwards. Anyway, thanks everyone for supporting my channel as always, and I'll see you in New Zealand. Bye then.